What would you do if your home could read your mind? If every fleeting thought, every unspoken desire, every buried fear was not just known, but acted upon by the very walls around you? This isn't just a story. It's a descent into a reality where the line between thought and existence blurs. For one man, a new apartment wasn't just a new beginning. It was the start of an unnerving, intimate relationship with his own home. He was about to discover that some places don't just hold secrets, they listen to them. Liam was thrilled. After months of searching, he'd found the perfect apartment. It was old, sure, with the kind of character you just don't find in modern buildings. High ceilings, large windows, and a strange, almost comforting silence that seemed to wrap around him as he moved his boxes in. The first day was a blur of cardboard, sweat, and the satisfaction of building a new life. He was humming to himself, thinking about how a cold drink would be perfect right now. As he unpacked the last kitchen box, he found a six-pack of his favorite craft beer, already chilled, tucked behind the pots and pans. He paused. He didn't remember buying it, let alone putting it in that box. Shrugging it off as a mental slip from the stress of moving, he cracked one open and toasted to his new home. The setting sun cast long, dancing shadows across the living room floor. That night, as he drifted off to sleep on his mattress, a faint, almost inaudible whisper seemed to drift from the corner of the room, a sound he dismissed as the building settling. He didn't know it yet, but the building was settling in with him, too. He was just another tenant, another mind to explore. The apartment was patient. It had all the time in the world. The strangeness began in small ways, little coincidences that were easy to brush aside. One morning, Liam woke up craving pancakes. He hadn't made them in years and wasn't even sure he had all the ingredients. As he shuffled into the kitchen, he stopped dead. On the counter, perfectly arranged, sat a box of pancake mix, a bottle of syrup, and a carton of eggs. A small, neatly written note on the fridge simply said, "Enjoy." He checked his phone, thinking maybe his mom had sent a grocery delivery as a housewarming gift. But there were no messages, no notifications. A chill snaked up his spine, but he forced a laugh. It had to be a prank from a friend, right? He spent the day trying to figure out who could have done it, but no one confessed. That evening he was working late on a presentation, getting frustrated. "I just need a better way to visualize this data," he mumbled to the empty room. The moment he spoke, his desk lamp flickered. When it came back on, a book lay open on his desk, a book he'd never seen before, titled Advanced Data Visualization. He hadn't just thought it, he'd said it aloud. Was that the key? He started to wonder, is someone or something watching? The apartment felt less like a home and more like an observer, silent and waiting. The lights would dim when he felt sad. The water in the shower would run a little hotter when he felt a chill. These weren't malfunctions, they felt like responses. The subtle nudges soon gave way to undeniable proof. The apartment wasn't just accommodating his needs, it was anticipating them. He thought about calling an old friend he'd lost touch with, and a moment later his phone buzzed with a friend's suggestion for that exact person. He idly wondered about a movie he'd seen as a kid, and when he turned on his TV, it was playing on a classic movie channel. It was exhilarating at first, like having a personal genie, but the novelty quickly wore off, replaced by a growing sense of dread. The apartment knew what he wanted, but that meant it was inside his head. How one night he was looking in the bathroom mirror, feeling a pang of loneliness. He thought about how much he missed his ex-girlfriend as he watched. Steam from the hot water began to fog the glass, and in the condensation, a single word slowly appeared, as if traced by an invisible finger. "Forget." Liam stumbled back, his heart pounding in his chest. This was no longer a coincidence. This was a violation. He stormed through the apartment, checking for hidden cameras, microphones, anything. He found nothing. The walls were just walls. The vents were just vents. But the feeling of being watched was suffocating. Messages began appearing on his laptop screen, typed out in a blank document while he was in the other room. They were simple at first. "Don't forget to take out the trash," or "You need more milk." But then they became more personal, referencing private conversations and inside jokes he'd shared with no one. The apartment wasn't just listening to his thoughts, it was accessing his memories. The game changed. The apartment was no longer a helpful, if creepy, concierge. It had found a new, more sinister form of entertainment. His fears. Liam had always been afraid of spiders, a deep irrational phobia from his childhood. One evening he walked into his bedroom and his blood ran cold. On his pillow, perfectly still, sat a large, black spider. He screamed and scrambled backward, but when he blinked it was gone. It hadn't been real. It was a projection, a creation of the apartment, woven from the fabric of his deepest anxieties. He started having nightmares, vivid and terrifying, only to wake up and find objects from his dreams placed carefully in his room. A child's toy from a nightmare about a lost sibling. A single wilted rose from a dream about a funeral. The apartment was now a stage, and his fears were the main attraction. Shadows in his peripheral vision would coalesce into fleeting, human-like shapes. Reflections in windows would show a figure standing behind him for just a fraction of a second. The whispers he once dismissed were now clearer, sometimes forming words, his own name spoken in a chorus of disembodied voices. He felt like he was losing his mind, trapped in a psychological prison built just for him. The apartment knew his secrets, his regrets, the things he never spoke aloud to anyone. What would you do if your home knew your secrets? It fed on his terror, and the more he fought it, the stronger its grip became. The final night, Liam sat huddled in the center of the living room, lights blazing, refusing to sleep. He had to leave. He knew it. He packed a single bag, his hands shaking. He had to escape this place. As he reached for the doorknob, the entire apartment plunged into darkness. The silence that followed was absolute, heavier than anything he'd ever felt. Then, a single screen flickered to life, his television. On it, an image appeared. It was a live feed from a security camera, pointed directly at the front door of his childhood home, hundreds of miles away. His elderly mother was just walking up the path. A message typed itself across the bottom of the screen. "If you leave, she'll miss you. We'll make sure of it." Liam froze, his hand hovering over the doorknob. He was trapped. The apartment wasn't just in his head anymore. Its reach was longer than he could ever have imagined. He was a prisoner, and the warden knew his greatest weakness. The door stood before him, an exit to freedom that was also a trigger. Stay and lose his mind. Run and lose everything he loved. What would you do? Would you stay or run? Comment below and let us know what choice you would make. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more chilling mysteries. And if you're brave enough, check the link in the comments. You never know what might be waiting for you.